All right, welcome back to another edition of LFG. Folks, I gotta really think of something new to say instead of welcome back.
I know, and
Do
you
any,
also do this every time.
yeah, do I good?
Yes.
And you think I wear the same clothes only?
I know. You should probably do laundry.
No, I don't do laundry. I mean, I want everyone to see this Hello Mastermind. I don't know if I
Mm.
showed this last time. I think you could. Anyways, welcome back, folks. If you, we're so glad you could join us again for your favorite franchise unfiltered podcast. Leanne, get a little unfiltered. What kind of secrets do you have that are spreading around the franchise world?
Oh my God. I hope there's no secrets spreading around in the franchise world.
Nothing. Anything
No,
new? No, no.
I don't think so. Nothing. I mean, just planning and prepping for Let's Grow, and that's pretty much consumed my entire being. But other than that, no, I don't think there's anything new, no secrets. But I'm ready to get back on the road so that we can start hearing secrets.
Oh.
You don't hear about them when we're not in travel mode. So
Oh, fun, fun. Fantastic. Yeah, Let's Grow is coming up. Oh my goodness. Like, how excited are you?
I'm very excited. I can't wait. It's going to be good. We've got a good lineup of people, and people are still signing up, and we're less than 2 weeks away.
I love it. I see that. And I hear about this whole rodeo business. So does that mean that you're going to be riding a bull, or who's going to be riding the bull?
I know we volunteered you. We signed you up to be the bull rider.
I would totally ride a bull.
Oh, I
I
know you
would.
would.
I
Oh,
would
I know
do it
you
in a
would.
second.
I have no doubt, no question in my mind.
Well, I mean, if they would let me, I would absolutely do it. Maybe you should find out. No?
I'm
I
sure
mean,
no. But we are going to Billy Bob's, which is an amazing place in downtown Fort Worth in the stockyards. And there's going to be a rodeo. There's going to be a live, like massive, I think they're what, Stetson cows? Is that what they're called? And then we're going to do line dancing. We've got pool
whoa,
tables, music, food, drinks. I'm so excited about the rodeo.
that's so
I
fun.
mean,
So what do we do
yeah,
with this cow? Like we just pet it or
yeah, you pet it, kiss it, see
you
what
just
happens.
stand next to it? Or are we milking it? Like what are we doing?
You do you do whatever you feel is right in your heart.
Oh my gosh. Hey folks, Let's Grow is not only fun, okay? I think there's a little bit of education in there too. Leanne, anyone you want to highlight? Give us your app, give us one highlight of who's speaking, which we now know will
Oh,
be your favorite person because you only highlight the favorites.
no, but I will say because they're fresh on my brain, both of them. I'm going to mention two.
Oh,
Is Gerardo Flores from Marcos. I chatted with him yesterday. He's the keynote on day one, and I think he's got a really nice presentation prepared for us. He's got a lot of experience in the industry. So super excited about that. And then I saw Paul Pickett's presentation, and I think it might be a little bit of a tearjerker, but he's got such a great story to tell in franchising, and super excited to hear his presentation.
amazing. All right. So I guess I will have to attend that one.
You have to
I
attend
heard
all
through
of them.
I heard through the grapevine that you wanted to buy a wild birds once. Is that true?
I would love to buy a wild birds.
Yeah?
Tampa territory is taken, but I would buy a wild birds in a heartbeat.
Oh, so the
Yes.
rumors are true. You know
Yes.
that Tampa is taken.
Yeah,
Okay.
of
I
course.
didn't know you were the bird watching type. That's
I better be first in line for that whenever this lady decides to retire. By the way, I'll pick it if you're listening.
I love it. I love it. Okay, fantastic. Well, listen, let's get to it. Today we have Gabby Powers, product marketing manager at NetSertive. How excited are we to have her on, Leanne?
We are so excited because this is also the first episode that we're launching that NetSertive is a new podcast advertiser. So
Woohoo!
really excited about that. And yeah, so excited to have Gabby. I don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting Gabby yet, but we know Aaron and they're big participants. And sponsors of our events. They'll be at Let's Grow. They were at Franchise Marketing Live. So um, love the NetSertive team and excited to talk to Gabby here in a few minutes. And so
Amazing.
why doesn't that lead me into heading into Franchise Royals?
Yes, it does. Go for it. This segment is brought to you by NetSertive, Leanne. Go.
So, if you have listened to this podcast, you know I work with a lot of marketing partners in franchising. One frustration I hear all the time is disconnected systems, reporting in one place, ad platforms in another, and no clear view of what is actually working today. That is so freaking true. So, that is where NetSertive comes in. They bring localized strategy, expert teams, and their MLX technology platform together so performance data lives in one place and locations can grow more efficiently. If that sounds helpful for your brand, visit netsertive.com.
To learn more.
To learn more. Thanks, Michael.
I'm always there for you, Leanne. I got your
Wow.
back.
Wow. Hey, Michael, who's your franchise royal this week?
You know, I've got to say, and I think by now everyone knows the team. I couldn't just pick one, but I wanted to highlight, for a few reasons, the SMB team, SMB franchise advisors, Don, Joanne, Steve, Teddy, Brian. I mean, the whole crew. You guys are our franchise royals. You do a fantastic job. Your reputation precedes you. And for those of you that don't know, SMB helps turn your business into a franchise. Everything from A to Z, they assist with that. They've been big, strong supporters of Franchise Assembly, and they're sponsors of Let's Grow. They are also exhibitors and sponsors of the National Franchise Show. And they're always ready to help. Anytime I need anything, I call Dawn, I call Joanne, and they're always right there, trying to do the best for their customers. And you know what? Not that everyone's not trying to do the best, but the reality is, no, they're not trying to do the best. Lots of people are trying to go in and out and do this and that and get through stuff. They actually care about their clients. So I'll say that about them. And you guys at SMB are our franchise rules this week. Leanne,
Yeah, we love SMB.
you know
Also, I
them
want
at
to,
all?
I do know them. Actually, Dawn, I would say is probably one of the first people I met in franchising.
Really? What, like a
Yeah,
couple of years ago?
sure. Um, yeah, no, I've known Don for probably 15 years now. But yeah, so super love the SMB team, everybody there. And Don has actually stepped in with Franchising for Good with me and Karen since we lost our cohort, Jeff Horst. So Don has stepped in to help us with Franchising for Good. So she's helping us plan the big barn party for Let's Grow next week, and all benefits going to Fort Worth, Ronald McDonald House of Fort Worth. But I'll get back to my franchise royal. So this week has been kind of like an exciting time for our friends over at Tenant Financial, because they're making some big changes over there. And if anybody's noticed on LinkedIn, people are changing their profiles, pushing up teasers, all of this stuff. And so Derek Skogsberg, Sam Phelps, Dave, Rick, Jamie, and the entire Tenant team, moving over to a new company called Franchise Now. Visit franchisenow.com, but it's very, very exciting. They're going to do their big launch and big announcement at Let's Grow. But you can take a sneak peek into what they're bringing to the franchise space, which I think is going to do a little disruption, and I'm super excited about it. But yeah, so we're having them on the podcast next, actually. And that's about it. Very
Awesome.
exciting.
Love the guys over at Tenant. Do you know them also for 15 years, Leanne?
I don't know them for 15 years. I only know them for a couple years. You're such a
Nice, nice. All right. So before we head to show and tell, which is our next segment, Leanne, who are we learning from?
So we are learning from Papirfly, another new podcast sponsored for LFG. So very excited to bring them to our podcast family. And if you're watching on YouTube, there's an actual commercial, which is like makes us big time. And if you're listening, there's an audio commercial. So pause for that.
Creating marketing materials for your franchise shouldn't be a choice between speed and brand consistency. Papirfly gives local franchises the power to create and adapt brand-approved marketing materials in minutes without needing a designer. With design templates and one central portal, campaigns launch faster, giving you built-in visibility and complete brand governance. See why franchise networks trust Papirfly to deliver thousands of brand-consistent assets at scale. Visit paperfly.com.
We are on to our show and tell segment. Of course, you all know this is the meat and potatoes of the podcast where we bring on an industry leader, an expert in their field to share some ideas and insights in their segment of franchising. Today, we have Gabby Powers, product marketing manager at NetSertive, one of our favorite sponsors. They sponsored Franchise Marketing Live, and they're sponsoring Let's Grow. Gabby, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for having me. My name is Gabby, as you mentioned. I am currently a product marketing manager at NetSertive. If you're unfamiliar with us, it's a digital marketing partner really built for franchise multi-location brands. We are at almost all of the events that you guys put on, and you guys always do a great event. So we're excited about Let's Grow later this month. Not to put us that we're recording in January, but we're very excited about that. But my background in franchising, while I've been at NetSertive, really started on the brand side. I worked for Thrive More Brands from 2020 to just this past fall. Thrive More Brands is a parent company of health and wellness franchises. So I was director of marketing for two different franchises during my time there, Beam Light Sauna and Infrared Sauna Concept, and then Rockbox Fitness, which is a national boxing and kickboxing franchise. So my love of franchise marketing came from the brand side, but have really taken that knowledge and experience that I had there and brought it over to the agency front over the last 6 months. I'll also say that I am a proud millennial Gen Z cusper in the franchising space. So I love the experiences that I get to hear from you guys on the podcast of all those lifers who have like the 20, 30, 40 years of experience in franchising. But I also,
Like Leanne.
No, literally, like hearing from you guys. Yeah, and Leanne.
You guys, Michael.
I'm not saying that either of you are that seasoned, but there are so many out there who like I'm talking to and they're like, yeah, I've been in franchising for 40 years. I'm like, geez, like
I know, it's crazy.
not yet. Hopefully one day, but not yet for me. But with that being said, I do think that this new generation of franchise marketers coming into the space holds so much weight and power because they understand the generations that so many franchise brands are now trying to target. They were raised with technology. They've adopted AI more early, I think, than a lot of other individuals have. And so while I'm still working on my first decade of experience in the franchise space. I'm not blind to the fact that I think we have a unique perspective that will really help to mold franchising going into the next decade and two.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think, like you said, there's like these people with depths of experience, like years and years and years. And so I feel like franchising has always taken a long time to get caught up to things.
Yeah.
So I'm loving seeing this like new group of marketers and young folks who are just kind of really bringing a fresh energy and new perspectives. And so I hope that everybody, and I think that's one of the things we try to do with our events is like having everybody together so that you're really leaning into things you don't know on either side, So
Yeah.
I think that's great. So do you have an ops background too?
So with working for small emerging franchises, we had small home office teams. And so I think every emerging marketing franchise-based individual has some experience with ops. You try to pick up slack where you can and work with them very closely. So I think my experience is leading marketing, but really working to incorporate operations conversations as much as possible so that when you're talking to franchisees, they have a complete view of their business and they're not talking about marketing in silos because typically marketers get blamed when you talk about marketing in silos for lack of performance or lack of working. And so I found that in my experience working for brands, having that really comprehensive approach talking about the business was a lot more effective than talking about CPL and CPA all the time.
I totally agree. I hate that ops and marketing aren't more aligned. So what are some ways that those teams could work better together? And I love that you're coming at this from from your experience, but also from the agency side of like, how can these teams work better together and create a better, smoother customer journey?
I think a big thing that so many, especially on the agency now, I get to talk to so many brands. It's almost like networking on steroids when you're on the brand side. So now talking on the agency side during the sales process, so many brands are coming to us with the pain points of wanting to integrate tech stacks more effectively because they're currently living in data silos. And so I actually think a big part of working marketing and operations together is simplifying your tech stack and speaking the same language as far as what success looks like for a business. And so I think so many brands are realizing now with the resurgence of AI, they're wanting to add on more tech to their franchise systems. And they're also aware that so many franchisees will only log into so many platforms and utilize so many things. And so having a breadth of all these different platforms is not being effective, and actually using those all in silos is making their marketing less effective because they're not able to speak the same language or truly understand the power of network data or even the location's individual data for a single region of a 6 mile radius around a brick and mortar location. So I think that was something that I recognized very quickly coming up in the space and having those conversations was when you could speak the same language as the operations team as far as success is concerned. Those franchisees are listening to you more effectively, but then you're also able to align your strategy better by understanding what's happening at the local level.
Yeah, and I could definitely speak to that from the sales background. It makes a lot of sense because we also don't really get along too well with marketing.
Why is it all in silos, right? No, I think
Yeah.
it's funny, but it's true. And I think a lot of times, especially on the sales side, I worked on consumer and Fran Dev. So I think on the Fran Dev side, you almost see that a little bit more because you have that internal team where you're working on the sales and working on pipeline with them versus the franchisees where there's a little bit more of a separation. But there is always that weird stigma between operations and marketing or marketing and sales. And I think it's all around, and it sounds simple, but I think so many teams lack it, having a consistent language around what success looks like and what the strategy is to actually get there.
Totally. And so that kind of leads into my question here. Marketing should definitely get credit where credit's due. But why does tying marketing activity back to revenue, membership goals, and lifetime value matter so much for franchisors right now?
I think right now, especially, I mean, no one's blind to the economic uncertainty that I think so many brands are experiencing right now, so many industries. But I also think franchisees are now, because of that, trying to understand their investments more and the money going out of their business so that they can justify it better for understanding what's coming out of their business as far as revenue is concerned. So I think with dodging those questions and trying to figure out how to speak to them about the movements that are going to work to help them grow their business, you have to understand the value of your investment. And so many times, if you don't understand your return on ad spend or your CPA, you're not going to understand why you should keep investing in marketing. And marketing tends to be the first investment that franchisees will want to cut because it is a very large investment for so many franchises. And so I think in order to keep up with the times here and things getting more expensive, franchisees are being responsible and looking at everything coming out of their business. Marketing is always a huge chunk of that. So it's the first thing that they want to question. And having the right data is something that franchise marketers and franchise ops teams can really equip their franchise owners with so that marketing is not cut, but rather viewed as an investment you can then grow your business with.
So everyone talks about data, 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 and now with digital, With digital, we've got so much coming at us with that can really kind of go down to the very conversion and where it came from and all of that stuff. But sometimes it's really overwhelming. So talk to us about like simplifying data and
Yeah.
KPIs. And you've worked with brands before that have done that. What changes for them by simplifying as opposed to asking for more and more?
Yeah, 100%. I think the first step in all of it is the consolidation piece of actually understanding every single system that you have important data in. So whether that's the ad platforms, whether that's your local reviews and reputation, which tends to be one of the first things that local owners maybe forget to do is respond to reviews. But now with AI, right, AEO and GEO, they pull from that so frequently in order to prove that you're a reputable business online. So there's so many platforms and so many things online. And then you have your CRM and your POS system that sometimes are together, sometimes they're not. And so understanding all of your operations-based platforms and all of your marketing platforms, I think most individual owners and some franchise marketers may not even know the actual depth of how many platforms they have data in to be able to then say, okay, what could we do to potentially consolidate this so we have less silos? So we have, 5 platforms instead of 10. 5 is still a lot, but it's way better than having to go between 10 different logins and systems. After the consolidation piece, I think that's where you can actually start to get a better idea of what KPIs may be the most important for your business. So for a reservation-based business, for example, that booking rate and that show rate for them of actually getting a lead in the door, those are 2 very, very important metrics that the ops team is probably always talking to that business about. But if the marketing team had more insight into those 2 metrics, they'd understand lead quality better. So when the feedback comes back that the leads are bad, it's not just like, well, you got a great cost per lead and the leads are coming in, so deal with it. It's actually understanding, well, why are the leads bad and what is the book show and close to be able to say, okay, you're not closing at the end of the day, but they're booked and they're showing up. So the lead is quality. So what's wrong with the sales process? So it's really breaking down to understand your customer journey, not just on the full front of the funnel where you're talking about marketing, but ultimately once you lose control as the franchise marketer and that lead gets passed over to the operations of the local team. I think that's where I've seen the biggest disconnects. And when those metrics can all be connected, at least understood to a certain extent, that's when you can start to see revenue grow. The only thing franchisees want is to grow their revenue, right? Like that's the ultimate goal.
Totally. So I think with anything, I mean, even on the supplier side, everything you're saying right now is like deja vu. Leanne and I just had this whole thing hashed out where, of course, she's on the marketing side, I'm on the sales side, and we're doing all these Google AdWords and LinkedIn for Let's Grow. And I'm like, it's not working. None of it. Dump it, stop it. I'm like, Leanne, your ads suck,
Oh my gosh.
She's saying, no, but look at all these metrics.
Don't even.
She's like, it's been a rough January.
It's not working. That's my favorite thing from clients.
Yeah. My favorite is the leads are bad. And I'm like,
Right.
why are they bad? What are they doing that's bad?
Are they bad?
Because sometimes they might be, right? But
Of
without
course.
knowing context, like,
And without
okay.
having the right data.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about data and simplifying the data, are you basically talking about your tech stack, like bringing in one tech stack for like
I
a
think tech
source
stack's
of
where it
truth?
starts. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's really where it starts because I think that is where you can't make an educated strategy until you know where you're starting. And you might know where you're starting is not great. That's totally fine, but you have to simplify the tech stack because if you don't simplify that first, you're not going to be able to implement a strategy that you can actually measure success against. And so I think that's where I've seen so many brands, especially now working on the NetSertive side, talking to so many brands who have ads in 5 different platforms, but in one central dashboard, but it's not really telling them anything. And so they have the data, but they're lacking like any kind of actionable insights against it. So I think being able to know that you have the data in one place is the first step, but then it's what are you doing with that data? And then how are you going to coach with that data as well? That I think are the next 2 steps that so many franchise marketers are working through right now as to how to really effectively do that.
For sure.
So talk to me about practical ways that HQ teams can empower franchisees without, overwhelming them.
Yeah, I think this is a fun one, and I think most franchise marketers they want to do this, but I think it's also really difficult. But I do think with so many things, it's all built on the initial conversation around trust and the initial conversation to be willing to ask questions. Really early on in starting on the franchise side, I learned about the dynamics between franchisees and HQ teams. And it's very unique and like there's so many skills that I've learned from franchising that I feel like may only be applicable in franchising. But once you have them, you're like, okay, like that's sick. Like I feel like I have a good hold on what that looks like. The relationship between a franchisor and a franchisee can be one that's really hard to navigate. And so early on in my career, I read a book called Navigating Difficult Conversations. We read it as a team, and the book centered around the concept that you have to ask questions before you assume that you can coach or share your knowledge itself. You have to have the context and understand where they're coming from in order to best help them get where they want to be going. And so I think coming in as a young professional in the franchise space, I wanted to immediately advise and immediately give recommendations and try to fix things. Ultimately, I found that that wasn't well received, and ultimately it was causing those franchisees to be overwhelmed, like you mentioned. And so by starting every conversation, priming it with asking questions, even if they're ones that I feel like I might have the answer to, ultimately I think it helped me to drive more success in those conversations because I was able to change my talk track to speak to them using the language that they already use back to me. So if they feel like they're really struggling, it's, hey, I acknowledge that you're struggling. Why do you feel like that's happening? And that's where you can uncover, I don't trust marketing, or I don't feel like my FBC is being effective in how they're coaching me. That's the true pain point, right? Like marketing's all about finding the pain point of your customer and then helping to alleviate that pain point in some way. But you can't do that until you ask or determine what that pain point actually is. And so it's not marketing to your franchisees, but it's using the same principles of marketing to best connect and build relationships so that when you are trying to guide them in new strategies or trying to have them implement new things, that trust is built and it's centered around they understand who you are, what you do, and that you ultimately want to help them. And so those are big things that I think I learned early enough in my career to where I saw the difference of having conversations that surrounded that versus just trying to like speak at and coach and throw a million tactics to a franchisee, hoping they catch one or two and start implementing them.
I have two questions. You mentioned something earlier, and I've been asking everybody this week because everybody says, well, they say a few things, AIO, GEO, and there's another one. What are you guys calling it at NetSertive? I don't think they're three different things, right? They're one thing, just nobody's landed on a name.
You know, Erin and I actually, my boss, Erin Martin, who's great, and you guys love
Yeah.
her, everyone loves
Yes.
her. We talk about this all the time because everyone calls it something different.
Yeah.
I think what we talked about actually earlier this week, search everywhere online. Like everywhere search is kind of what we're calling it at NetSertive of the
Yep.
concept that the consumer journey, it was never linear.
Right.
But man, is it not linear now. So we're kind of calling it search everywhere because
Yeah.
we
I
want
like that.
you, there's so much in SEO as far as like keywords and that kind of stuff that I think people think might be archived and no longer relevant. It's still super relevant, but there's new strategies and new practices you have to do in order to be showing on generative search, but then also answer engine. So we call it search everywhere because ultimately the same 4 to 5 key pillars are going
Yeah.
to drive success everywhere. It's just everyone has a different name for it, and it's probably going to
Right.
change tomorrow too. So,
Right. Somebody just needs to land on something. Let's go.
you know, like let's all do it. And I'm
I
tired of
like,
hearing about it and
yeah,
not having a name for it.
I like search everything. So then my other question, and just I'm super curious how you adjusted from brand to agency. Because I come from agency
Yeah.
and I had brand experience. Now I do fractional work. So I get a little bit of both, but I'm an agency girly, as you kids call it today. But I'm just curious how you like the switch over to the dark side.
It's unique for sure. And I think a couple of things with it. So while I was at Thrivemore and was director of marketing for brands, I also helped them to build an internal ad agency that served our franchisees, but also at the end of my term there, also began to serve other franchises in the health and wellness space. So had like a little bit of taste of agency work there. Growing up in my career, I never thought I want to be on the agency side because I loved the idea of like being loyal to a brand and like doing all that. And there's so much value in that. But I think moving to the agency side was able to see that because of because of my experience on the brand side, I felt like could connect to customers so much more effectively because I have felt the pain that they are currently in. And so being able to share that and talk about like, oh my gosh, like when I went through that, like someone mentioned yesterday, they were planning their national convention and they had to plan it. It was international this year and they planned it all in-house. I've never planned an international convention, but I have helped plan one that was in the States, and planning it in-house is a huge lift. So I could like totally can talk with this new client who I hadn't met before and connect with her on like a very real pain point. So that's something that I'm really appreciating about being on the agency side. And then I also get to appreciate with my specific role, I still get to talk to franchisees and still get to get feedback from them and hear about like what they're struggling with and how NetSertive's helping them with that. And I think that was always a really beneficial part of being on the brand side was I felt very connected to our individual local owners and like feeling like I can make an impact in their communities. And I'm surprised, but I still get some of that with my role here at NetSertive. And so I think the parts that were really beneficial for me on the brand side, I'm still getting some of, which is great. But I also feel like I'm actually helping to solve real pain point that so many franchise marketers, including myself, have faced during my career. So that's really rewarding, I think.
That's
I
great.
love it. I love these marketing talks because I mean I'm not in marketing, but
He
I
hates
love
us.
hearing it. No, not at all. I the more I hear it, I mean it just it makes sense. Everything makes sense about it. It's just, of course, anyone, like you said a bit earlier, who is, the CEO is always looking at the bottom line, and not placing a value on marketing. It makes so much sense because, like you said, they're the first thing to get cut, but without them, it just doesn't work. They put the onus on. I mean, I'll tell you, in one of the organizations that I work with, the bone of contention for the marketing and operations people is like, oh, everyone loves you and it's all you because of the bottom line, and the sales you bring in, and no one gives a shit about, us. And but they should. And this just reaffirms that. I love it. Everything you're saying makes so much sense. So as you look towards, 2026 to 2028, what do you think the most successful franchise brands will be doing differently from everybody else?
So I think a couple of things. First one that I'm seeing especially is I feel like the last 2 years, everyone was aware of AI, but then also every conference and convention that I went to that spoke about I felt like personally was speaking to, hey, here's this thing, you have to implement it or you're going to be behind. And then a very like short 2 minute thing at the end of like what to actually do with it. And I felt like we were all aware of this thing coming up. We were all aware that teams were going to have issues if it wasn't implemented, but ultimately didn't really know how to start. So I think 2026 is the year of clarity for so many brands. Clarity in the ability to implement AI effectively at both the HQ and the location level. Because I think right now, franchisees, if they're using AI, they're probably a little confused by it. And so many systems need to figure out a way to kind of conglomerate their AI tech so that franchisees can effectively understand what it looks like and not be overwhelmed by it or try to make everything AI. Because I think it can very easily, for so many of us, franchise marketers included, it can be like the shiny new toy that you want to grab onto and do everything with. But ultimately, so many individual owners need to focus on the basics before they're actually being able to implement it. So I definitely think year of clarity as far as this is where AI actually fits into my business and where I get the most value out of it in my business. It's not going to be every single aspect. There's going to be 2 to 3 key ones, I think, for different business structures where it makes the most sense. And I also think the best brands in the next 2 years are going to be the ones who really help franchisees to understand that doing the basics and local marketing are the things that are truly going to drive growth because ultimately it drives growth with building trust in the community and it helps digital campaigns perform so much better. We really can't just invest in digital anymore. You have to be able to do both sides of the coin because one feeds the other and vice versa. And I think the best brands are going to be the ones who are able to effectively coach franchisees in that so that Z's are out there building the trust, which ultimately grows their location and the national brand. The most successful clients we have are the ones that are doing that really effectively, and their Z's understand that they can't only rely on digital. We've said that now for 5 to 6 years, right? Like after 2020, digital campaigns really took a tank and algorithms shift so much now. But the Z's that take that and take the action to actually want to go and implement it are the ones that we're seeing build revenue for these brands like no other.
That's awesome. Well, it looks like they got a good find at NetSertive with you. Congratulations.
I'm loving it. The team there is great. And I love my brand team, but this has been a great role for me as well. So I'm
Yeah,
excited to have new opportunities.
that's exciting. Good company to work for. So how, if people want to get in touch with you or learn more about NetSertive or touch base with you, how can they find you?
100%. On LinkedIn, Gabby Powers is my name. You'll be able to find me pretty easily, and I post about NetSertive all the time. So I love them; they're great. So feel free to DM me there on LinkedIn. My email is first initial last name at netsertive.com. We're always willing to talk through AEO, GEO, search everywhere, but also the basics like website structure and digital ads as well. So we're here to help, and I'm always looking to make new friends. I'll also be at IFA, my first IFA this
Ooh,
February. Very excited
wow.
about that. So
That's exciting.
I know, first time in Vegas too. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh,
Yeah, I
wow.
know. I have a lot of firsts coming up.
I
But
was
if anyone,
watching, I was watching on Instagram. I think it was yesterday. It was a reel on like you and a coworker going, and one of them is their first time in Vegas at a conference, and one of them was like a, an experienced person at a
yeah,
conference in Vegas, and like they're two different experiences. I'll have
I
to
know. We'll
find it and
see.
get it to you. It's pretty funny.
We'll see. I'm excited. But anyone's at IFA and wants to connect as well, happy to grab a coffee and connect. So I love it.
Sounds good. Well, we'll see you there then.
Awesome. I'm excited about it.
All right. Thanks, Gabby.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Amazing. Once again, thank you so much, Gabby. You are lovely. On to our next segment, which is Franchise Mingle. For those of you that don't know, Franchise Mingle is the up and coming events in the franchise world, mostly the events you really only need to know about in franchising. And up in Franchise Mingle, what do we got? Leanne, when does this podcast air? Just so that I don't repeat.
It airs on January 20th.
On
So,
January 20th. Wow.
yeah, so it's right
Okay.
before all of your big travel.
I love it. So if you happen to be in the New Jersey, New York area, we've got the National Franchise Show on the 24th and 25th. And then it's back to back with Dallas. The Dallas Franchise Show is January 31st and February 1st. Again, if you're looking for franchisee leads, reach out to me anytime. Our franchise shows are insane, like over 120 vendors at every show and thousands of people come in. And of course, in between New Jersey and Dallas, we have Let's Grow. It is happening from the 27th of January through to the 30th. I literally just saw another 3 registrations come through. Leanne, did you catch that?
Did.
That was great. It is still open. I think we have room for like another 15 or so more. So if you're interested, please feel free to go to franchiseassembly.com and register for the Let's Grow conference. But outside of that, then we've got franchise shows all across the country this spring. We've got Cleveland, Houston, Chicago, Orlando, Baltimore, and Portland. So if you're expanding in any of those areas, let me know. We also have our Hello Mastermind Spring Retreat in a different Portland, Portland, Maine, from May 18th through to the 20th. We've just announced our dates for Franchise Marketing Live in Denver, November 2nd through to the 3rd. And of course, our Hello Mastermind Fall Retreat, which will be back to back in Denver, November 4th and 5th. And that's all I've got for events. Any other events coming up?
Not
No?
at this time. We gotta update the calendar, but yeah.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. There is one other event that is happening in between the Let's Grow and the Dallas Franchise Show. We have Art Coley, who is going to be hosting a franchise masterclass, a deep dive into franchise development for executive level individuals, happening on January the 30th. If you want more information, go to franchiseassembly.com right now, and you can hear a little bit more for that. We literally have already over 25 people registered. There's room for 30. So, we can accept 5 more. If you're interested, hit us up and let us know. But otherwise, we will catch you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for say goodbye, Leanne.
See you soon.
Bye.